a target.
My Lords, I want to congratulate the noble lady Baroness Hayman of Alloc because I thought her analysis of this statutory instrument was absolutely excruciatingly thorough and coruscating, quite honestly. It was, I think, it was possibly her finest hour, but I'm sure she's going to have many more. I would have liked to have stopped the noble Lord the Minister several times when he gave us his opening remarks, because quite honestly I would have liked to refute them or challenge them, because they were so off beam at times, and some of the language he used, things like, what would we want to snuff out? Well, I can give you a list, and I can explain very clearly how we could achieve much tougher targets. So these targets make exactly the same mistakes as the targets on water that we've argued over last week, which is too little, too late. The government's had the opportunity to show the public that they care about the quality of our water and air, and they say they want to improve human health, reduce environmental pollution, and that there is some urgency to their actions. But that is absolute nonsense. I see no ambition in these proposed targets to reduce the thousands of premature deaths due to air pollution that this country suffers from. And the noble Lord the Minister also talked about that we would restrict freedoms. What about the freedom to breathe clean air, the freedom to not be ill from breathing the air in our urban spaces? Now that is, I think, absolutely a human right, and that's something that we could deal with. We can put, when we talk about restrictions, or when the noble Lord the Minister talks about restrictions, what we can do is make it easy for people to do the right thing. We can make it easy for them not to use their cars by giving them decent public transport. This is something that the government doesn't seem to be able to tie up at all, to see any relationship between a carrot and stick approach. I know that Ken Livingstone isn't held in the highest esteem anymore, but he really understood that. And when he brought in the congestion charge, he massively improved public transport. It made a huge difference to travel patterns here in London. And the government is so... The noble Lady Hayman said she's looking for ambition. Well, she certainly failed in finding any ambition in these targets. It is totally unacceptable that the government's proposing to delay compliance with the World Health Organization's air quality guideline for fine particulate matter. It is a complex problem, of course it is, but as the noble Lord, whose name I can't remember for a moment, I'm so sorry, when I've worked with him for years, he pointed out, it's not only road traffic, it's... Sorry? Tope. The noble Lord Tope. Thank you very much. That's right, yes. It's not only road traffic, it's also plant. And you know what? We could insulate buildings. That would mean people would use less energy, for example, and therefore pollute less. Now, the government there was a target published in 2005, but now this country won't hit it until 2040. That is appalling, isn't it? And it's the same as the sewage targets. Putting everything back a couple of decades, that means that most of us won't live to see a country where we have clean air and clean water. Now, I have no problem making sacrifices for the next generation. I do it on a daily basis. But I would prefer to make sacrifices that deliver improvements while I'm alive, if it's possible. And I'm saying it is possible, and this government chooses not to do it. The World Health Organization has halved its guideline for PM 2.5 to 5 micrograms per cubic metre. That happened over a year ago. So we're not only delaying targets, these targets that we're using are already out of date. The science has moved on, but this government and this country has not. Now, I have a few questions. I realise that they won't be answered this evening, but I would like them answered, and I'm happy to write to Noble Lord, but I will now read them into the record. Is the government taking literally the wording of Section 4, Subsection 2 of the Environment Act 2021, before making regulations under Sections 1 to 3, which set or amend a target, the Secretary of State must be satisfied that the target or amended target can be met? Now, doing so would mean that the government wouldn't be protecting anyone until the last person. in the entire country is protected from air pollution standards set in 2005. Now, I would like a bit of clarity on that. Also, what computer modelling can the government possibly be using that shows the UK can't or won't achieve the WHO's old air quality guideline until 2040? That modelling has got to be out of date. It couldn't possibly be anything that would that any of us on this side of the chamber could come up with. Is the government aware that official modelling done for the revision of the Gothenburg Protocol shows that less than 5% of the UK population would be exposed to more than 6 micrograms per cubic metre of PM2.5 by 2030, and only 8,000 people above 7 micrograms per cubic metre? This is the baseline case. Lastly, is the government aware that the European Commission is proposing, I think you did mention this, 10 years earlier than this government, and they're proposing to halve the current level for nitrogen dioxide by the same date. Where's our Brexit dividend? I voted for Brexit. I want my dividend. Where is it in this SI? So instead of all this nonsense that all this flannel that we keep getting given about targets, I ask the government to support Ella's law, my Clean Air as a Human Right law. It's in the other place at the moment. I suggest that all noble lords sitting on the opposite side of the chamber could lobby their friends and family at the other end to actually pick up this bill, to sign up to it and say, this is what will actually fix the problem that we're facing. These targets will not fix the problem. People will die, people will suffer, and the government will never hear the end of it while we few are on this side of the house.